So if you're good for that, like we can launch in. I can start it and do what we're talking about.
Yeah, sounds good.
I think if I remember how to do this.
It's been a long time. It feels really weird. It's like, oh wait, what do we say again?
Hi, I'm Stacey.
And I'm Lois.
And this is Whose Girl Are You? Today we're going to attempt to talk about chronic illness and spoon theory and other things that go along with that.
What is spoon theory?
You've
to
never
just
heard of it?
put a definition, I have never heard that term before.
I should actually look up like who came up with it. It was written about at some point. Maybe you should actually look it up while I kind of tell you what I think it is, and then you can basically fact check me. How about that?
That sounds great.
Okay, so spoon theory is basically someone that has a chronic illness doesn't have the same energy reserves as someone that is just full health, right?
Okay.
So some lady was trying to describe to a friend of hers what it's like to have lupus. I believe she had lupus. And as they're sitting at the table chatting about it, she just grabbed the first thing that was there, and it must have been some spoons, right? Mm-hmm. And so she was basically saying, you know, when my alarm goes off in the morning and I have to shower and get myself ready and pack lunch or whatever, like I've already depleted one spoon, and she put it down, and then, you know, she does this other thing and that's a spoon and that costs a spoon. Well, by the time it gets to like dinner, maybe is the last spoon that she has. Mm-hmm. She has no spoons left. Mm-hmm. So she doesn't have the reserve or the health to be able to go out and do something in the evening, maybe. Mm-hmm. So you'll notice if you know people with chronic illness, they either are going one side or the other. Like maybe they're a stay-at-home person and they like to have a nightlife and a social life. Well, you'll see that they'll sleep in a lot. Mm-hmm. They're able to, and then they'll spend their reserves in the evening. Mm-hmm. Or they'll get up early and they'll spend the reserves early in the day, and they typically won't do a lot of evening activities.
Mm-hmm. Because they can't do both.
They can't do both. And so when someone with chronic illness says, I really can't go, I'm tired, or maybe they even make plans that sound great and then maybe weren't able to conserve their spoons, because sometimes you can't plan your life, right? Sometimes kids take more spoons on one day than they would on a different day, or husbands, or even your health. One day you might have 6 spoons, but the other day you might have 10 spoons. It depends, because chronic illness tends to have flare-ups. So are you finding anything online about it?
Yes.
What did you find?
That is exactly what it is. So Wikipedia says that spoon theory is a metaphor describing the amount of physical and or mental energy that a person has available for daily activities and tasks, and how it can become limited. It was coined by writer and blogger Christine Miserandino in 2003 as a way to express how it felt to have lupus. Explaining the viewpoint in a diner, she gave her friend a handful of spoons and described them as units of energy to be spent performing everyday actions. You nailed it.
Okay.
Yeah. And the other thing that it says about it is spoon theory assumes that every task requires a set amount of spoons. On a low-pain day, someone may need 1 spoon to scramble eggs for breakfast. On a high-pain day, that same task may use up 3 or 4 spoons. So it kind of goes that way, too.
Right.
You can use more spoons for a task that normally uses less spoons if it's a hard day.
Yeah, and basically what it's trying to explain to somebody that doesn't have chronic illness is that on days where your body's flaring up in whatever disease it is that you might have or a problem that you're dealing with, like the everyday tasks are just draining everything. You really only have enough reserve to do what's absolutely necessary and not anything more. Mm-hmm. So when someone asks more of you, even if it is just going for a walk or meeting for a cup of coffee, you literally can't even fathom getting off the couch, putting your shoes on and getting in the car and making that drive, even though you want to see that person. Mm-hmm. So
chronic illness or chronic pain. I have never suffered with that. And I know a lot of family and friends who have, and it's so debilitating. It takes so much energy out of you. I've seen the difference in people where they're dealing with something, chronic pain. Mm-hmm. You know, they're not sick, but they're just wiped out. They have no energy.
That's the worst part about it. The worst part about a lot of the chronic illnesses is having other people tell you, well, you don't look sick.
Mm-hmm. Exactly.
So I don't look sick.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think I look sick.
Right. No, you don't look sick.
I look a little sick today because my eyes are super puffy from my allergies because it's May.
Right. May in New England.
I look a little sick, but I don't typically look sick. And I have a personality that's a little bit more extroverted and fun, shall I say?
Yeah. Yes, you shall. Good term.
So I tend to be kind of laughing and carrying on and joking around. And so you wouldn't know that I'm not feeling good.
Yeah.
If I'm not myself, if I am a little bit crabbier and a little bit snippier and a little bit quieter and more reserved, I'm probably just having a bad day with my health.
Yeah.
And see, here's the problem with me. People will say, well, what do you have? And there's some days I wish I could say, I don't want to say it like this. Like, I don't want to have lupus and I don't want to have, what is it that you have a kid that has a chronic illness. Don't you?
Yes. One of my kids does have a chronic illness. He has ankylosing spondylitis.
Yeah. Ankylosing spondylitis. That I've read about that. I haven't known anyone that's had it. I've read about it and it sounds horrible.
It's in the family of arthritis.
Yes.
Rheumatoid arthritis. It's basically in the same sort of family.
Yes. And I've known people that have had osteoarthritis, rheumatoid arthritis, and like all of these things they're very painful and they're very, they flare up and they're brutal. So I'm not saying I wish I had one of these. I don't wish I had any of these, but I wish that in some ways, I wish that I have gotten like a diagnosis where I could just tell people this is what it is and they could go read about it themselves.
Yes. And then they understand.
Yeah. So I typically don't even tell people that there's stuff wrong with me. Right. And because I don't know, they're like, well, what's wrong with you? And I'm like, I don't know.
Yeah.
It's just, I have this set of things that I deal with, kind of like a mix between maybe extremity tingling and numbness or extremity pain, sensitivity to cold. My allergies flare up really bad. I have chronic headaches that I don't know what to do about. The headaches are probably the worst of it. And so most days I have a headache. Mm-hmm. And some days it's really bad. So I just kind of have a little bit of a headache, I think I'm just used to deal with that. I just kind of ignore that. But when it gets really bad, then I have to just stop what I'm doing. I can't function anymore. Mm-hmm. So it's kind of this set of, I just feel awful. It's, that feeling you have when you think you might be getting sick, like maybe you're just starting to run a fever, you're getting the flu or something like that, but you're not quite sick yet. You're just like, ooh, I think I'm getting sick.
Yes. Mentally, it's a little bit of dread almost, like, oh no, here it comes.
Yeah. And your body just doesn't feel right. It feels like heavy or hot or kind of the whole thing aches just like a little bit. And you can take your temperature. You might have a low grade fever. You're like, oh, here it comes. Mm-hmm. Well, that's kind of my other symptom is that I very often feel like I'm getting sick, but I don't get sick. Mm-hmm. I mean, not that I don't ever get sick, but I very, very often I have this low grade, like how you feel right before you're getting sick. Mm-hmm. And it's a horrible feeling.
Yeah.
And most of the time it doesn't turn into anything. Every once in a while it does. And then I'm shocked because I'm used to my gauge is broke. Mm-hmm. Most people, if they start feeling like that, they're like, oh great, I'm coming down with the flu or whatever. I better stay away from people. I'm always like, I'm probably not contagious because this is how I don't know. Feel.
Yeah. Yeah. Because it never develops into anything.
Right.
Like anything more. It just stays at that kind of low, not feeling good.
Yeah. And I don't think it's a contagious thing.
Right. Right.
I don't know what it is, but I've learned how to manage it. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So I have a family member who suffers from chronic nerve pain from an injury. And it's been years of debilitating pain in her life. And it is slowly getting better through diet. She's healing it, but man, is it a long process. Mm-hmm. Long, painful process. She's way, way more recovered in the last couple of years than she did for 20 years. There was like 20 years of it kind of stayed the same and was getting a tiny bit better. And she did some drastic changes in her life.
That's tough.
Yeah.
Because like the only time that I actually started feeling better was really actually feeling really good. It was quite a few years ago now. But I was living a diet, like my lifestyle had 0 sugar unless it was from fruit, whole fruit, not fruit juices or anything, just from fruit.
Mm-hmm.
But no sugar, no gluten, no dairy, no beef, no chicken. And then a variety of other things that I'm actually allergic to, like strawberries, hazelnuts, almonds,
Mm-hmm.
Other things. And so my diet was super limited. And I felt great.
Mm-hmm. But that's hard to do.
But you want to know what I started feeling like? I hate that this felt like my choice. And maybe I don't know, I'll just say it. I felt like I was tired of being a social pariah.
Yeah.
Like where I didn't fit in anywhere, and everyone, like everywhere I'd go and people would have stuff and I'd have to say like, no, thank you. And then I'd have to always explain myself.
Yeah.
And then people felt like they had to make special stuff for me, which I didn't want them to do.
Right.
Like I could bring my own food if I needed to.
Right.
And it just became this whole thing where I didn't feel like I could go out to eat at any restaurants with my husband. I couldn't go to social gatherings. I couldn't, like, I started becoming, I was like, this is my choice. I can either feel good or I can like have a social life. And I'm very social.
Mm-hmm.
That's how it began to feel, because I thought, well, if I did this for a certain period of time, that I could heal myself and then go back to life as normal. And that found out like that wasn't the truth. That's what we were hoping for. But my body is just, I don't know. I asked my doctor, I said, what is wrong with me? Why can other people eat what they want to eat and it doesn't seem to be a problem? And why, like, I put the slightest thing and my body just reacts so poorly. And she was just like, some people's constitution's just that way. And it's just so sad to hear that the body that you have, and maybe it was from years of me abusing it. I'm not saying it was just, I don't know what it's from.
Yeah.
But I've, even looking back, even when I was in high school, I had like chronic pain then.
Mm-hmm.
But I never said anything about it. And the cold always made it worse. And you knew where I grew up.
Mm-hmm.
And so when I would complain about the cold, like, I can't handle this cold, and people say, buck up, be quiet. Like, and I do, there is no bad weather. There's only bad clothing. I do kind of agree with that. But as a teenager, you're not going to put on the big puffy jackets and whatever.
Right.
Anyway.
But now you do.
Now I put on, I don't care what anyone says. Like, I'm going to be warm.
Yeah.
But when people say, like, quit being such a baby about the weather, what they didn't realize, I don't think, and still to this day, it makes me hurt. It's not that I just don't prefer the cold weather.
Yeah.
It's that the cold weather makes me hurt and causes me pain.
Yeah.
Where, like, it doesn't cause someone else pain, so they don't understand. I'm not trying to be a baby about it.
Right. Right. They're just a little uncomfortable because it's cold.
Yeah.
It's like, I'm cold.
Some are immune. My husband, like, loves the cold.
Yeah.
I think that should be part of a quiz in marriage counseling, like premarital counseling. Before you get married, you should have to answer what kind of climate you prefer to live in. And if you can't agree, you might want to consider options.
Not getting married.
I'm just saying, I love him, but like, it's going to be an argument till death do us part, because he likes the cold and I like the heat.
Yeah. And even in your own home, like, what temperature do we keep our home?
We actually agree on that.
Okay, good. Well, that's good.
Yeah. We basically keep our house at 70, like, all the time.
Yeah.
Summer, winter, anytime. Like, it's just 70.
Yeah. That's good. Cause I know people who, like, okay, one wants to sleep in, 82, and the other one's like, I can't breathe in 82. Let's sleep in, 62.
Well, and I don't mind it being cold when I'm sleeping, because I just pile on. I have blankets upon blankets, and like blankets we share and blankets that I also have for myself, and like all sorts. Like, I can make myself a little nest, so that doesn't bother me.
Right.
Like, you can crank it so cold in my room at night. That's fine.
Mm-hmm.
Because I'm snuggled up all nice and warm, you know.
Mm-hmm.
I'll take a flaxseed pack with me to bed too, if
Yeah.
it's cold, if it's winter.
So flaxseed, what turned you on to those?
I don't know I think my mother-in-law,
Oh, nice.
she was very much into natural medicine and things like that.
Yeah.
And she, I think, might have given me one for Christmas one year, and I didn't know how I lived without that before.
Yeah.
Because being someone that hates the cold and like feels bad with the cold, that heat brought me so much comfort and made me feel so much better.
Yeah.
And the flaxseed is just better than the corn and things like that, just because it retains heat in a different way, more consistent heat, not hot spots and cold spots. And it keeps the heat longer as well. It's just softer.
Yeah.
Just softer to be cuddling with.
Yeah. Yeah. It's less, lumpy or.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So then I started making them.
Yeah.
Because I want to also give comfort to others.
Yeah. Yeah. So what do you do with it? You pop it in the microwave for 30 seconds, a minute?
Oh, yeah. I roll it. I make pretty big ones. Mine go all the way from like my toes to my belly button. Like I'll make big long ones and I roll them up and put them in the microwave for like 2.5 minutes. And then I unroll them the other direction and put them in for another minute.
Yeah.
They're pretty smoking hot though, but.
Yeah. That's awesome.
But they'll stay hot for hours.
Yeah.
I mean, not hot for hours.
Yeah. Warm.
Yeah.
Warm to the touch, I guess.
Yeah. They'll stay hot for quite a long time, but then they even stay. I mean, if I take it to bed with me, like the next morning, it's still warm.
Wow.
It's not hot, but it's not cold.
Yeah. Wow. That's interesting.
Yeah.
I can see where that would, in a cold climate, would be life-changing.
Oh, next best invention?
Mm-hmm.
Heated steering wheels.
That's so interesting. I've never driven a car with a heated steering wheel.
That's probably the number one reason I bought the car that I have. So mine has heated steering wheel, heated front seats, heated back seats. Like this was so important to me.
Yeah.
I think I'd rather my AC brake than my heated steering wheel brake.
Yeah. Well, you guys don't get a ton of super hot in New England, right?
No, it's little
week in August where it's like, oh, can't breathe.
Yeah. And everyone's like just crying about it and I'm just in my glory.
That's what we have here too. We don't get a ton of heat.
Yeah.
Here. So, South Carolina, I don't think you could live without, I mean, I won't say that because one of my people down there does live without AC in their car, but they're buying a new car soon, so.
Yeah, that would be brutal. That would be brutal.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah, no.
But which is worse, heat or cold, right? Ooh.
Depends who you are. So my husband can't tolerate the heat. And I have a theory.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. I naturally have low body temperature. Like I don't run 98.6, which is average. I run 97.6, a full degree low.
Wow.
Yep. I have low blood pressure, even though I eat a ton of salt and I'm not eating a super clean diet or anything. My blood pressure runs, 120/80 is normal. Is that what it is? 120/80? 80/120? I can't remember.
No.
Anyway, I think it's 120/80, right?
That seems super high to me, but.
No, not 120/80. 80/120.
No, it's the bigger number on top.
Is that?
Yeah. Yeah, 120/80. Normal blood pressure levels. Oh, that is so crazy. Okay. I'll tell you why when you get done.
Yeah, so average is 120/80. That's what I thought, 120/80. And I usually run like 92/61 type of thing.
Yes. That's what
You too?
Yes, I did too. I don't know. I haven't checked my blood pressure for a long time. So the last time I had checked it, it was a little higher than that, like 100/70 or something. So still low. But when I was pregnant, I would go in for my prenatals and they'd take it and they'd get done and they're like, pump, 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 pump. And I'm like, is it super low? And they're like, yes, I'm taking it again. And I'm like, okay, but it's going to be super low again. It's not you. It is super low.
It's not you, it's me.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly.
I only hit 120 over 80 when I was 9 months pregnant.
Yeah. Yeah.
They'd be like, "Oh, that's so great.
It's
You're
no,
ready to
actually,
deliver." And I'm like, "No, that's high." It's kind of concerning.
yeah, right. That's the thing where your normal for you is low and low temp. I didn't know that those two went together though.
I don't know if they do. I mean,
they just do for you.
They do for me. And they do, so my daughter also has low body temperature too. So when I figured this out too, I'm like, when I have a temperature, let's say I am feeling sick and I have a temperature of 101.
Yeah.
In my opinion, that's 102.
Yeah.
Like for a average person.
Right.
So like if I have a 99, people are like, "Oh, you don't even really have a fever." And I'm like, "No, I actually do."
Yeah. Right.
I'm actually at like 100.
Yeah.
Right. So
yeah.
I think it helps to know an average is just an average. You have to know like what is your normal baseline.
Yeah.
And then how far are you off of that baseline?
Mm-hmm.
That's why it's important. Like we're human beings. We're not just robots that are all calibrated the exact same.
To 98.6. Yeah.
Yeah. So here's my theory. My husband and a lot of people in his family trend toward high blood pressure, normal body temperature, normal whatever, but like high blood pressure, high standing heart rate. That's the other thing that's low with me. Even though I'm not an athlete anymore, I used to be back in the day, but I haven't been for decades. My standing heart rate is still low. I'm like pumping 60 all the time. Just pretty slow.
Mm-hmm.
And their standing heart rate and their blood pressure is a lot higher. Like my daughter, she's in her 20s, super healthy, works out at the gym all the time, all this stuff. And she's running like her standing heart rate is running 85 type of thing. Mm-hmm. And her blood pressure is running quite a bit higher. Mm-hmm. It's just, it's genetically in that side of the family, in the father's side of the family. And the ones that have that high blood pressure and that high standing heart rate, they do not tolerate the heat well.
Really?
People with lower blood pressure, lower standing heart rate, lower all that, like we seem to like not tolerate the cold as well.
Okay.
That's my theory.
Right.
And I'd love for people to write in to whosegirlareyou@gmail.com and tell me if you have those same things and help me with my informal study of, is this true?
Yeah. That's really interesting. It kind of makes sense because our bodies are not a machine, but they are a machine, right? We burn fuel and we have heat. We produce heat. So if your temperature is higher, naturally higher at your normal body temperature, your normal running temperature is higher, you're producing more heat already. It kind of makes sense that your natural default is to produce heat. And so more heat, you add more heat to the environment and you're like, ugh, I can't do this. There's already too much heat around here.
Yeah.
And then when you're cold, if your body runs at a lower temperature, you're in danger of like freezing and stopping. You know what I'm saying? Not really in danger of that, but it feels like it. Your body's like, no. We need all the heat we can get because you're going to freeze to death if you don't get some warm around here.
Right.
Because we don't produce it naturally that easily.
Right. Yeah.
I don't know. That's
why it's so troubling, that my husband and I don't agree on where we should live. Like, so I actually Googled it while you were talking because I was like, is there something about this?
Yes.
And I came this Mayo Health article.
Yeah.
It said weather can play a role in triggering certain health problems. High temperatures and high humidity are two factors that can cause serious health consequences for people with high blood pressure and heart disease.
Really?
So blood pressure can be affected in summer weather because of the body's attempt to radiate heat. High temps and high humidity can cause more blood flow to the skin, which causes the heart to beat faster while circulating twice as much blood per minute than on a normal day. So the greatest risks are when the temperature is above 70 degrees and the humidity is more than 70%. The higher the humidity, the more moisture in the air. So
they can't shed the heat.
They can't shed the heat because they already run hot.
Yeah, they're already producing enough, a little too much maybe. need to be shedding, and you can't shed when it's hotter outside than you are, basically.
Yeah. No, I'm sure. I remember I don't do this anymore because I'm mature now. So also
in quotation marks,
my hands and feet are like always cold. I mean, unless it's hot out and I'm like in my glory, but in the winter, you just can't warm up. I don't care what kind of socks you buy me. And sometimes and I can't sleep with socks on either. So sometimes I would get in bed and stick my feet on my husband because he's hot. He's like a furnace.
Yeah.
Oh, he would just jump out of his skin. I'm putting ice
Crawl
blocks.
in at 2 a.m. after coffee with the girls.
Yeah. And just stick my ice block feet right on his like steamy core.
Yeah.
And just, he'd get so mad.
Yeah.
And I'm like, you're so warm.
Yeah.
He's like, you're so cold.
You need to snuggle your whole body up, not just your cold.
So one of my coworkers was like, you're like, cause she doesn't like the heat either. I should ask her what her blood pressure is, but she was saying that I'm like a lizard. I'm like a cold-blooded lizard who needs to sit in the heat.
Yeah.
Because I just went to Texas recently and I came back and they said, how was it? I said, it was so good. It was like 90 degrees. I just laid in the sun. I just baked and like, I felt like my bones were warming up. And she's like, you really are like a reptile. I said, I know.
But you can't keep heat. You're not trying to shed heat. You're trying to
it's not my fault.
Absorb. Yeah.
This is how God made me. God made me to live in a warm climate.
Right. And God made your husband to live in a cold climate. So you got to find somewhere sort of neutral.
That's why I just make flax packs. I have them in every room and I have lots of wool socks and really nice down jackets. And I mean, I do my best. I have the Joan of Arc sorrels that go up to your knees and I even bought a pair of heated gloves. I bought them for my son, but I knew he wouldn't use them all the time. So if I need them, I can always.
Right.
They're heated gloves and they go up to my elbow.
There's
you can get heated jackets. I know. I need one.
They're super cool looking.
That's what I'm going to ask for Christmas this year.
Yeah. Heated jacket. That's a great idea. So what do you have to do? Plug your jacket in every night?
I think they actually work for quite a long time. I think one of my friends had one or has one and she said she doesn't have to plug it in every night. It has like a little battery pack type of thing. Yeah. And she had to plug it in once a week or something like that.
Yeah. Okay. So that's not so bad.
No.
Oh, that's funny.
I would plug it in every night though. I mean, we plug our phones in every night.
Yeah. You plug your phone in. You live in a cold climate. You plug your car in.
Yeah, you plug your car in, plug your jacket battery in, put your flax pack in the microwave. If I ever lose power, I'm just, I'm heading south because I won't be able to live here anymore.
Oh, that's so funny. So, chronic illness. One of the questions I wonder about is why is there so much more illness? Why is there so much more chronic illness?
Because our food sources are so contaminated. Because our environmental load is so intense.
Yeah.
We're not living in the same world that our grandparents lived in. We're not touching our feet to bare grass. We're eating stuff that comes out of a factory. We have pollutants all around us, whether it's in our fertilizers, our air fresheners. I don't even know if we can begin to know what the effects of having cell phones in our hands, in our pockets, on our person at all times of the day, and earbuds stuck in our ears so close to our brains, and all the things that we're doing. I don't know. I don't think it's any one thing. And then the vaccine schedule, it went from 10 to 50. We're overloading bodies with toxins and things that aren't meant to probably be in the body in so many ways, through our skin, through our breathing.
Yep. The air,
through our stomach. Yeah. All the things.
So then the thing is, though, we only feed the number of people on this planet because of all of these fertilizers and weed killers and GMO foods. That's the only reason we're feeding the number of people that we're feeding, that the world population is what it is because of genetic modification, because of different planting practices and fertilization and weed killing and hybrids and whatever. So how do we go back to a sustainable Earth population? Who gets to die?
We have plenty of room and food and whatever to feed the world many times over. Like
It's not genetic modification?
I mean, the people that were starving before are still starving. The food's not getting to them. We're throwing away more food than we've ever thrown away. And the people are still starving.
Yeah.
In certain parts of the world.
No, I understand that.
GMO food and genetic modification stuff, that's just bottom line. They're just making more money. That's all that's about. It's not about, oh, we need to feed the whole population of the world. It's about, we want to make more money.
But an acre of land can only produce so much grain without genetic modification, without Roundup and whatever kind of weed killers and fertilizers, and grow big and grow fast and grow more grain per stalk of wheat. And all of that, if it's purely a money thing, then that's really sad, because
it is sad.
I think the soil and the sunlight and the water and the nutrients and the whatever, the things that make the food what it is, so that it is nutritious, so that it's filled with minerals, so that it's filled with all the things that we need for a healthy body.
I mean, even in order for that too, they have to let the ground sit fallow for every 7 years so that the minerals can not be depleted.
Be replaced, yeah.
They can be replaced, and they're not doing it. And I'm not trying to attack the small farmer here.
No.
I'm talking about the big guy.
Yeah.
The agricultural machine that has taken over.
Yeah.
Maybe there's more to it than money, but when I look at it, it looks like it's about money. Yeah. And all the big guys are trying to buy out all the little guys, and they're pushing all those guys out, the ones that really are caring about nutritious food, and you still see pockets of it.
Mm-hmm. But it's super expensive.
It's super expensive.
You want to try buy cage-free eggs or organic flour or whatever.
I feel lucky living where I'm living, because 5 minutes down the road, I can go to the Somero farm and get eggs still for a reasonable price. Mm-hmm. And they're so good. And bee pollen and honey and maple syrup and whatever. Their prices are so good. Mm-hmm. I feel like I've stepped back into the olden days. Mm-hmm. But yeah, so I don't know, like, why we're sick. It's so many things.
Yeah.
My husband was trying to say that he hates when I spray like hairspray or any of that kind of stuff in our bathroom. If I do, it's like when I come out, I have to shut the door and make sure the exhaust fan's on and all this. He gets like kind of grumpy about it. And he's just like, that stuff's probably killing us. It's causing infertility. He's like, I just read an article that all of the lotions and shampoos and hairsprays and things that people are using is causing infertility. And that's why there's fertility problems. And I was like, you're probably right. Mm-hmm. I don't mean to be the jerk, but part of me is just like, I'm done with that portion of my life.
Yeah. I'm living until I die. Yeah.
And like, I don't want to sound uncaring to future generations. I'm not. Yeah. That's not my heart either.
No.
But at the same time, like, where do you draw the line? Yeah. And everyone draws the line in a different place. And I think we just need to be a little bit sensitive to the fact that everyone's line is somewhere else, and you can't force their line to be where your line is. Mm-hmm. Because I know there's some people that only eat organic. They grow their own stuff. They won't use any products or chemicals. And God bless them.
Yeah.
But that's not the life for everyone.
Exactly.
I'd be curious to know where your line is.
Oh, my line is, I don't buy organic. I don't. I live my life. And I'm, like you said, it's not in an uncaring way. I'm not like trying to wreck the planet. But I don't see so many things that in Washington we had back in the old days when we used to use paper bags for groceries. Long time ago.
You still can.
You still can. Well, then we went to, we're killing all the trees, so we need to use plastic bags. And so now we've been using plastic bags, and now we have to buy reusable bags, which are still plastic, but they're thicker plastic. So you have to pay for them, 8 cents a bag. And your fabulous checker puts in 1 head of lettuce in 1 bag and 1 group of bananas in another bag. I'm like, so the corporate giant said, sell as many plastic bags as you can. We're required by the state of Washington to charge 8 cents per bag. They cannot give them to you. They cannot absorb the expense. They have to pass it on to their customer by law.
Who gets the money for that?
I have no idea.
Does the government get the money?
Probably. It probably goes to the government to fund tree planting. I have no idea.
Good job, Inslee.
Yeah, I know. Oh, he makes me crazy. Ugh. There's my line. I'm going to punch him in the nose. So then I'm like, I refuse to pay for a plastic bag. So I put my groceries right back in the cart, naked, and I drive my cart with naked groceries out to the car where I have a bunch of bags, because I never remember to bring my bags in the store, right? I actually don't do much grocery shopping anymore at all. Mostly what I do is grocery pickup.
They charge you for the bags, though?
You can actually check no bags.
Really?
Check mark. Yeah. So now they've changed it. Walmart doesn't even offer bags anymore. There are no bags available. They're like apparently done with this system, with this rigged system where they have to charge money to their customers and who are angry with them and give the money to the government because they don't offer bags at all. They had for like probably 3 months or longer. They've had announcements up in the store by every checkout and in the grocery pickup. Every time you place an order, there's a big banner that comes up and says, as of date in May or April or whatever it was, we will no longer have bags in this store. Bring reusable bags. We will have no bags in the store.
Washington is something else, huh?
Isn't it crazy? It's crazy.
It's not like that here.
Yeah, it's nuts.
But I just had a big debate with someone about the whole self-check thing, like at Walmart.
Yeah.
I prefer self-check.
I do too. I
don't know.
do.
Some people are like, they need to work. I don't know. You're taking jobs. You know what though? I'm sorry. I can check my stuff and bag my stuff faster and better than just about anyone that works there. So just let me do it myself. And maybe that's just my personality, but.
Yeah. No, I agree.
I mean, I'll go through with hundreds of dollars worth of groceries. Yep. I'm not talking I go through, I'm doing the job, you know?
Yep. I get that. But you know what though? When you've had your bananas with 6 cans of tomato sauce on top of them, or your bread with some big, heavy, whatever, your bread's squished, your hamburger buns are flat, your bananas are bruised, or you have soap in with your bananas and lettuce. That's so disgusting. Who taught you? Obviously nobody taught you to bag groceries. There's a method here and it works.
That was my first real job.
So you learned how to bag, I betcha. Yeah.
So I bagged and checked.
Yeah.
I was a checker and a bagger. So that was my first job. So I also feel nostalgic about it.
A little superior.
A little nostalgic. I got this. I've been trained in this job.
Mm-hmm. And that's true because you have more training than the person who's working there.
Yeah, the poor people probably, they're probably doing their best, Lois. They probably just haven't had anyone to teach them.
No one has taught them. Oh, I could teach them when I'm there bagging my self-check. Can I teach you how to bag groceries? Soap never goes in with lettuce or any food product.
Meat never goes in with produce.
Right. Build a base on your bottom and then put light stuff on top. This isn't hard. It's not rocket science.
It seems like common sense. I mean, have they never built a pillow fort?
I know, right?
You can't put the heavy pillow on the top of the blanket or the whole thing's gonna cave in on itself.
Yeah, exactly.
We all tried.
Oh boy. Yeah. So illness.
Chronic illness, yeah.
Yeah. Chronic illness. There are so many different kinds. And in the last, I don't think it's been super long. I want to say 10 years. I don't know how long it's been. There's been advances in some areas of chronic illness. And I'm sure there's others that have made no advances and they're just trying to come up with a breakthrough, either a medication or a treatment of some kind. There is a drug for ankylosing spondylitis that is life-changing. And according to the doctors, there are no long-term bad effects. It's not like, this is going to work for 10 years, you're going to have 10 great years, and then you're just going to start, crashing. No, they say, as long as you take this, you should be good. And that's really, really encouraging. My kid is rocking life.
Good.
Very physically active, has a hard job, which was really painful for him for years. And he looks healthy. And that's the most amazing thing, because with his chronic illness, the first thing he started doing when he got on medication, which solved his pain problem, was start working out. Started going to the gym every day. So his thighs were thin. He was losing muscle mass.
Mm-hmm.
And it's awesome because he looks healthy. He's not overweight by any stretch, none, zero, but he works hard. But he doesn't look like he's just going to blow over in the slightest breeze, which is how he was looking. He was looking so thin and like, not even that it was just thin as in underweight, but thin as in your muscles are shrinking.
Yeah.
And so he looks really good. And so my point of bringing that up is that it's got to be life-changing for someone who has a chronic illness to actually come up with a medication that helps or a treatment that helps.
Yeah. And then hopefully you have the insurance to pay for it, right? Because that's a whole nother. I know someone that has, what is it called? Like Crohn's disease, but it's not Crohn's. Something similar to that. Anyway, it's a gastro problem that's pretty bad, debilitating.
Yeah.
And they can it's an infusion that they have to get, but it's very expensive. And they get the infusion however often. Mm-hmm. So they're making advances. Even Fabry's disease runs in a family that's out here. It's a genetic thing. And they've actually done a study on the family because so many of them have had it. Mm-hmm. And there's a infusion that they can get too. It's very expensive. Mm-hmm. If you don't have insurance, there's no way you're getting it.
Yeah.
And it's not a cure, but it makes their life manageable. Mm-hmm. Right. And that's what a lot of the things are that I was watching a show on TV the other day and they were talking about the cure for diabetes and that people can take insulin. And I was just like, don't use your words wrong. I hate when people say there's a cure for something.
Yeah.
Insulin is not a cure for diabetes.
No.
If it was a cure, the diabetes would go away. It's a treatment. So like the infusions for these different things, they're not cures.
Right.
They're treatments.
Yep.
That help to have a quality of life.
Mm-hmm. They manage the symptoms.
That's what they really are. Yeah.
Whether it's get rid of the pain momentarily, maybe not even get rid of, but lessen the pain momentarily, or the symptoms anyway.
Yeah. I mean, it just makes life manageable.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, there's a couple categories of chronic illness. Some of them fall into the pain category, chronic pain, and some fall into the chronic fatigue category, which is quite a few of them. Lyme's disease is a huge one.
Yeah.
That a lot of people in this area have had is very debilitating if it's not treated right, or maybe the body doesn't even respond to whatever the treatment is. I've watched some people suffer greatly with that. I'm shocked that anyone that goes in with any symptoms similar, that they don't like just check for Lyme every time.
Yeah. It seems like they would.
Actually, I wonder if I've been checked for Lyme. I don't even know if I've been checked for Lyme.
Well, maybe you should.
I know. Because it makes me wonder. And people with Lyme tend to feel better in warmer climates.
Yeah. That's been your whole life, though, right?
But I grew up in Michigan where there's Lyme.
Yeah, I suppose. So you maybe have,
I wonder sometimes if it goes dormant and then flares up. Here's my big struggle. Because I know that my symptoms can go away 100% if I eat like a super different diet. When I feel bad, I feel like it's all my fault.
Yes. Oh my word.
So then I have this whole layer of guilt.
Let's pile that on.
Yeah, I feel like I can't say anything about how I feel or complain at all. Not that we should be complaining, but like even, I don't even like to voice how I feel when I'm not feeling well a lot of times because of the layer of guilt that's there. Like, it's my own fault. I've done this to myself because I ate XYZ.
Yeah.
So I pretty much just bottle it up.
Yeah.
Because we know that bottling your feelings up and pushing them way down and locking them in a box is super helpful.
Yeah. Wow.
But I don't, you know what I mean though?
Yeah.
Like, how do you unravel that?
Yeah. No, I do. And it's like, I'm doing this to myself. I have the tools, if you want to call it that, or the ability to make changes. But those changes are hard. That's hard. I look at people who have something with food allergies. Okay. One of my grandchildren at, I don't remember, something like 8 months or 10 months old or something, was diagnosed with a peanut allergy. And that absolutely changed the whole family's life, from the immediate family to the extended family to the church family to every aspect of your life, social family, because that's like, I'm sorry, but if you get I had stirred a pot that had peanut in it with that spoon, and then I went and stirred this pot and it doesn't have peanut in it, and we think it's peanut free, and you have, anaphylaxis. This is a big deal. This is not like, I don't feel great.
I have a headache.
Yeah. This is huge. So maybe allergies is not, I don't know, is allergies considered in a chronic illness? Because it's not illness, but it's a life-changing diagnosis.
It's not. Allergies I don't think are considered a chronic illness. I don't think. But they're just considered an allergy. But the thing is if you don't, depending on like what level, because I don't have anaphylaxis. Even the things, I'm allergic to almonds, hazelnuts, strawberries, and something else. It doesn't even matter because I'm just like, who cares?
Yeah.
None of them are anaphylactic.
Right.
The worst thing I'm going to have is the headache, maybe an upset stomach.
Yeah.
Pins and needles in my mouth and throat.
Yeah.
Will it develop into that? I don't know. I hope not. But
yeah, it's
more just a feeling of unwellness.
Yeah. Discomfort, and it passes.
I don't think it falls into that though. And that's the thing though. Like, our society is getting a little bit better about helping people that have that. And there's more selections out there, but still just brutal.
It is brutal. And I'm guilty of that. I need to have more compassion, because I'm one who's like, do we really have to provide gluten-free food at potluck? Like, really? I felt like that before. And shame on me, Well,
here's the best part. Someone made me muffins one day and said, I made these for you because I was really trying to stay away from gluten because I was just feeling so awful. And that's one of my things I'm supposed to stay away from.
Right.
But I'm a Finn and I survive on bread. So that's tough.
Yeah.
She's like, I made these muffins for you. They're gluten free. And I was like, really? And so I went and grabbed one and I was eating it. And I was like, what did you make it with? And she's like, almond flour. I was like, I'm sensitive to gluten. I'm allergic to almonds, and I didn't say anything. I just went, oh, okay.
Yeah. Set this down carefully on the napkin.
So,
thank you so much.
But that's why I don't even like to say anything. I don't want anyone to make me anything special. I really don't. Yeah. I'll bring my own stuff. Like, if I know I'm going to a potluck, if I'm eating that way, I'm going to be the one that brings the gluten-free thing.
Right. Right.
You know what I mean? Or I'm going to bring the one that's the gluten-free, dairy-free, soy-free, everything. And people are like, what do you even eat, lettuce? There's actually a lot of good food out there. The problem with it is everything needs to be prepared from scratch.
Yeah.
So none of these, and by all means, none of us should really be eating stuff from boxes and cans and whatever. It's good, better, best philosophy, right? I'm not trying to lay on guilt here and say everything needs to be from scratch, but in an ideal world, that's going to be the best health option for any of us.
Yeah.
I tell my kids, as I'm teaching about health and nutrition, that if God grows it, it's good for you.
Yeah.
So animals, plants, things like this. If God grows it, now if a factory makes it, it's not good for you.
Yeah.
And that's just the rule of thumb that we live by. Do I still buy Oreos or whatever once in a while? Sure I do, you know,
Yeah.
because the good, better, best doesn't mean you're always going to make the best choice, but you try to make the best choice as much as possible. And when you can't make the best, you try to make a good choice.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because you don't want to heap more guilt on somebody that's already really trying. So it's like we're all moving incrementally toward, hopefully, we're all moving incrementally toward whatever we're trying to move toward. Like it's really hard to just upend your whole life.
Yeah. You have to, though, with an allergy or a diagnosis of diabetes, you upend your whole life immediately because otherwise you will die.
It's life or death.
Yes.
Yeah, if it's life or death, for sure.
Yeah.
How did they know that that baby was allergic to peanuts so young?
She had I don't even know how she knew to test because I never tested for peanut with my kids. When they got old enough to eat, I gave them a peanut butter sandwich and said, here, have fun. You know, like, I was giving them pieces of mine before they were ever eating theirs or pieces of their siblings or whatever.
Yeah.
Just a little, you know, pinch of bread with peanut butter and honey or jam or whatever on it. But for some reason, she tested. She did just put a tiny bit on her tongue or in her cheek or something just to see. And she got a rash around her mouth and was very obviously reacting to this. So she brought her to the doctor and they did that whole poke thing that you were talking about on the back. And they tested and she had definitely peanut allergy. But she outgrew it.
Yeah.
They told her at that time that she had I think the number was 40%, if I'm remembering correctly. 40% chance of outgrowing it if she had zero contact. Zero exposure to peanuts. And so they changed their life. Peanut butter went in the trash and they didn't have it in the house. Peanuts were not in the house. Every label of every ice cream, of every restaurant that you went to, do you cook in peanut oil? A hostess or whatever would go back and say, do we cook with peanut oil? Because they didn't know. Like, go find out from the kitchen. You know, they did so much calling ahead and whatever, you know?
You have to, you know, like if you have a health issue, you're going to take it seriously. That's what people don't understand. It takes so much. I remember going to restaurants and asking them for a nutrition fact sheet that had the carbohydrates listed. And they would look at me and I'm like, by law, I don't know if you know this, but by law, every restaurant has to be able to provide that information.
Yeah.
And so a lot of them didn't know where it was, but they would track it down. Sometimes they'd send a manager over.
Yeah.
But I tried to do my due diligence and find out that information before I even went.
Yes,
but if I couldn't find it,
you
know, I had a book that I carried with me called Calorie King, and it had most of the restaurants, especially all the fast food restaurants were in there and all the chain restaurants. But then you don't always go to fast food and chain restaurants. Hopefully you don't. You get to go to some better establishments. And so at those ones, I would have to ask because there was no information online or in the book about it.
Right. And it's so dependent. But with that zero exposure, so here's the thing that, you know, I said I have not always been so good at. And I need to clarify. Potluck is totally reasonable to have. Like, if I'm gluten-free and I'm going to a potluck, I'm going to bring gluten-free food. I'm going to bring food that I can eat, right? Sure. It's more when it's a meal at church where the kitchen group is working, providing the food. And then we're making fettuccine Alfredo and we need a gluten-free one too. With garlic bread. Oh, we need a gluten-free garlic bread too. You know, like, so.
Yeah, I wouldn't do that. Like, I wouldn't do that.
We do.
Personally. I mean,
we do.
And maybe that is the gracious thing to do.
It is. It is. And that's what I'm learning. I've had an attitude about it in the past. I don't anymore because I've seen how difficult it is, especially in our culture of food is love. That's how we Finns have this whole food is love thing going on.
It's bad.
It is. And to provide a gluten-free option for someone who is unable to eat gluten shows them that you love them.
I don't think it's just our culture though.
No, it's not just ours, but ours is one. It's big in our culture.
Yeah.
So I've changed my mind on that.
Yeah. And maybe in a big function thing like that, that's totally different. But what I think to myself when I'm doing, cause I have some friends that are gluten free too.
Mm-hmm.
If I was going to have something, let's say I was going to do fettuccine Alfredo with broccoli and chicken and a salad and bread or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
All I've started to do is I just kind of think through it and say, well, I'm going to keep some of this chicken to the side,
Mm-hmm.
some of this Alfredo to the side,
Mm-hmm.
and make sure I have plenty of salad
Mm-hmm.
and
Plenty of broccoli.
And so they're more than happy to just be like, oh, you like all this is to the side now. It's just like, yeah, if you want to dunk your chicken in Alfredo and eat that and have your, broccoli on your salad, like whatever mix and match you want to do with that, like at least like here's like these great ingredients and you can put together something for yourself. Yeah, you're not going to eat the bread and you're not going to eat the pasta.
Yeah, exactly. But that's a great option.
I've thought through of like what doesn't have gluten and reserve some of that to the side.
Mm-hmm.
And don't let it get tainted with the other stuff.
Fettuccine. See, I say fettuccine Alfredo. Broccoli Alfredo, chicken Alfredo is a great option.
Yeah.
It's good. Very good.
Yeah, take some of that chicken, the broccoli, and put the Alfredo over the top of it and then have a side salad.
Yeah.
Delish.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
Anyway, most of the time if people are gluten free, they're pretty great about not being demanding and like just being very thankful for just some thought that's put into it.
Yeah, exactly.
But yeah, I don't know. Every day I wake up, it's more like every night when I go to bed, I think tomorrow I'm going to get back on that and start like doing what I'm supposed to do.
So I can feel better.
Yeah, so I can feel better. And then every night I lay my head on my pillow and think tomorrow I'll do better. And that's just where I'm at. And I'm not really doing better. Yeah. But I have the intention.
I know.
So I don't know. I feel like I was just like, they should have like rehab facilities, 30-day. I need a 30-day rehab facility to get me off gluten and sugar. Yeah. I'm not joking right now.
No, I know. I'm not either.
The pull that has on a person is like, I quit drinking and I quit smoking cigarettes and I know the pull that those have. Mm-hmm. And I would say it's really the same. And the thing that's even worse about it is that it's completely socially acceptable. So like if I'm eating sugar or gluten in front of someone, no one's going to be like, oh my gosh, you see how much gluten she ate? Yeah. Like, no, nobody's saying anything about it. Yeah. And so there's no accountability. I have to be accountable to my own self. And obviously I'm not a good accountability partner for my own self.
So we should talk about this off air sometime.
No, this
you and me.
Why you don't want to share with the general public?
No, I'm saying we could keep each other accountable.
Oh, I was just like, what secrets are you hiding that you're telling me later? I don't understand. I'm slow.
Accountability. That's why I said we need to talk about it off air, cause.
Yeah, what does that even look like, honestly? I mean, I don't know if accountability works for me. I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know. Have you ever tried it?
I don't know. Have I? Like,
I don't know.
I think so. Like I don't know if it's accountability. Do you remember doing like bets?
Yeah.
Oh, like everyone's going to quit smoking and whoever smokes
for a year. Yeah. Or whatever. Yeah.
Have you done that?
Yeah, I have.
That never works because like the addiction is so strong in me. I'm like, I'll pay whatever amount of money. I don't care. I'm done with this stupid bet. And I just pay the money because I want to smoke or whatever.
Yeah. I never have.
You never have?
No, I'm too stubborn.
Have you?
I've done the bets, but I've never paid the money.
You quit?
Yeah, for however long the period of time was.
So like maybe accountability works for you.
Maybe.
Yeah. Have you done like an accountability partner for like weight loss or anything like that over the years?
Yeah. Like, just for like, same thing, a period of time. And the problem is that's not a long-term fix. It's a short-term fix for a long-term problem.
Yeah. So like, is accountability like even helpful?
Well, it is to get rid of that initial addiction, because if it's the sugar or the alcohol or the nicotine or whatever, you get through that initial part, but then it's like, now I will not do this.
I wonder if I just need to start a 12-step program for.
Yeah.
Because here's the thing. I think you're right. I think the accountability probably works at the initial stage. Like, I've got to change this, and I can't do it.
Yeah.
If someone comes up alongside and prays with you, talks to you about it, like, I'm going to call you daily and check in with you like a sponsor would do at the very beginning. You need to attend, 2 meetings a week, whatever. And then over time, you're working the 12 steps. You're, admitting that you have no power over your own self. That, so it's really like pointing people toward God, right? And maybe that's what it really is. Maybe the long-term fix is just getting real with, like, getting on your knees and getting real with God about why it is that I keep eating every time I'm sad, or why I turn to sugar when life is tough, or, like, why am I not turning to him? Why am I not trusting? So it is a long-term thing. Maybe the accountability. I just honestly don't think accountability will work for me. Because if I'm wanting to eat sugar and then you're like, I'm going to call you every day and see if you're eating sugar. If I'm eating sugar and you call, I'm just not answering the phone.
But it's not going to go away. That's what an accountability partner is not going to go away, because it's going to be the phone calls come in again tomorrow, even if you didn't answer, or later today.
And then when I do answer, you'll be like, so have you been eating sugar? And I'll be like, yep.
And then we have to have a talk about that. And then we have to talk about that. Why?
Yeah.
Why were you? You told me you weren't going to. You really, deep down in your soul, don't want to, even though you are.
That's what addiction is.
I know.
So I've kicked a few addictions in my life. I probably could kick a few more. And I mean, I did kick them before. I fell off the
bandwagon.
I fell off the bandwagon when my sister-in-law died, is when I fell off that, like, when I was eating strict, feeling super great and like carrying on with my life or whatever. And I really spiraled into this, everyone dies, what does it matter? And I pulled myself out of that. I don't feel like that anymore, but I never got myself back to the really clean eating, because it's brutal. I remember when I did it the first time, the first 10 days, I just white knuckled that thing, and I felt really lonely, and I felt it was really, really difficult. And my symptoms actually got worse in that first 10 days. My headaches were brutal. And when you're not feeling good, and then you're trying to take care of other people, and you're trying to say no to all these things, like, I don't even know how I white knuckled through that first 10 days. And then I started kind of having like a little bit of an uptick, and I guess my doctor was my accountability at that point.
Yeah.
I really do. I want to feel good again at some point. So I don't know how this chronic illness talk turned into a counseling session for me, but it's been really helpful.
I'm glad we've talked about this, because every time I talk to someone about something like this, it makes me mindful of how easy it is to slip into not necessarily being uncaring, not intentionally being uncaring, but just not thinking about it and not realizing what people live with every day. To wake up and use most of your spoons before noon is like, oh boy, this is going to be bad,
Yeah.
So I'm really glad we talked about it, because it makes me conscious again of how to be compassionate, how to notice those things when someone's struggling, and to be of help when I can.
One of the things I think is helpful too is, if you're aware that someone's dealing with chronic issues, whatever, I don't want to say even.
Yeah. Illness, could be, pain, allergies, whatever. Like, there's all the
whatever, all of it. Chronicness. Yeah. Just people are dealing with life. We might call
this title chronicness.
How about, like, they're just dealing with life, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
I think I need to learn to be sensitive to, because I deal with this with myself. I want to say, yes, I'll do that thing. I'll do this thing. Like, here's a great example. Yesterday at work, and it's the end of my work week, because Thursday is my Friday. the end of my work week and, my coworkers are like, let's go to this beginner's class line dancing thing. And they're just all excited about it. And I said, that sounds like so much fun. So they said, so you'll go? And I said, what time is it at? And it was like at 7:00 Friday night. And I was like, that's kind of late for me sometimes. Cause like if I'm doing a lot that day, I might not have the wherewithal to get all the way down to this place at 7 and have the energy to be goofing off and dancing. Cause it's really kind of late for me. Like I have no spoons left by then. So I will not, I'm like, I can't commit to it. Come on. They're trying to put the pressure on me. And it's like, okay, I finally said, you guys, I want to go. And if I'm able to go and I have the energy to go, like I will go. But I don't know that I'm going to have the energy. And I hate to like leave people hanging and be like, yeah, I'll be there. And then call and say, I'm not coming. But for those people in your life that have chronic illness, and if they happen to bail on you a lot because they're like, I don't feel good or I'm too tired, just take them at their word. They really don't feel good. They really are too tired. And when they say I'm too tired, it's not just the regular tired of, well, once you get going, you'll feel fine. It's I have this severe fatigue and I'm going to feel even worse if I have to do this next thing.
Right.
And like, just have some mercy and just say that, don't even worry about it. You know, I hope you feel better and, you know, move on. It can be disappointing because they leave you hanging. That's just why I've learned, because I canceled so much and would feel bad about it. I just learned to stop committing to so much stuff and like letting people, and I don't know if that's better, but
yeah, I think it is better.
I'll commit to anything before a certain time of the day, but those evening things, ooh.
Yeah, I think it is better. And to put it in a way that you can say, you know what? That's late for me. That's super late. A lot of times, especially at that end of the week, end of the day, like it might be rough, depending on how the day goes, depending on how my week's been. I'll try to make it if I can, but I'm not making any promises.
Yeah. If they told me it was Saturday afternoon, I'd be all over it.
But it's good to be able to know your limits and not commit 100%. Like, yes, I'll be there. Absolutely. Put my name down. I'll, you know.
Cause the thing is I want to. I really do want to. And I just am hoping I have the energy to do it. And sometimes I can even be like, oh, I think I'll take a nap. You know, like I'm doing this thing in the evening. Like I'll take a nap to like kind of get my, yeah. So we'll see. I might go line dancing tonight. It will be more comedy act than line dancing if I make it, because I have 2 left feet and I can't follow choreography to save my life.
Oh, that's so funny.
But it could be really funny.
It could be great. It could be so much fun.
So I think that's all for me for chronic illness. I think that's enough. I'm feeling a little drained from this therapy session. I don't know about you.
It's been good to talk about this with you. I really appreciate it.
Yeah, you too. All right. Talk to you later.
Take care. Bye.